urine therapy. Yep, you heard that right. In the Middle Ages, urine wasn't just something you flushed away. It was considered medicine. Doctors believed drinking it or rubbing it on wounds could cure all sorts of problems, from infections to sore throats. Apparently the logic was, if it came out of your body, it must be good for your body. Spoiler, it wasn't. Some even took it a step further, claiming the first morning stream was the most potent, like some kind of medieval health smoothie. Forget Gatorade. These people thought your neighbor's pee was the real electrolyte boost. Now, to be fair, urine was sometimes used in diagnosing illness because certain diseases could change its color or smell, but drinking it? That was just medieval desperation at its finest. Imagine coughing in front of your doctor, and instead of prescribing antibiotics, he just hands you a cup and says, "Bottoms up." Amputations without anesthesia. In the Middle Ages, if your arm or leg got gangrene, infection, or even a nasty break, doctors had a straightforward solution: chop it off. No anesthesia, no morphine, just a sharp blade and a steady hand sometimes. Patients were often strapped down while the surgeon sawed away, and the screams were considered part of the healing process. The faster the surgeon worked, the better the chance of survival, because the real enemy wasn't the disease, it was shock and blood loss. Speed mattered so much that some doctors became almost famous for their rapid amputation skills, racing to saw limbs off before the patient passed out permanently. Of course, infection was still a huge risk, and most people either died from blood loss or from the filthy conditions afterward. But hey, at least the Middle Ages had one consistent rule: if it hurts, it probably works. Eventually, animal dung remedies. Medieval doctors had a simple rule: if it was gross, it must be medicine. That's how we ended up with animal dung remedies. Pig, cow, pigeon, even dog poop. Crushed, mixed, and slapped right onto wounds, or swallowed in healing potions. Because nothing says sterile treatment like a handful of barnyard bacteria. Some recipes were shockingly specific. For example, cow dung mixed with honey was thought to cure infections, while pig dung was applied to open wounds. All it really did was invite even more infection and guarantee a quick trip to the grave. And yet, people swore by it. Maybe because after rubbing animal poop on your face, death seemed like the kinder option. Imagine your doctor handing you a jar of cow pies and saying, "Trust me, it's organic." Trepanning, the medical practice of drilling a hole in your skull to let the bad spirits out. Imagine you have a bad headache in medieval times. No Tylenol, no cold compress, just a doctor with a hammer, a chisel, and way too much confidence. The cure for migraines is more trauma to the brain. To be fair, this wasn't just a medieval craze. People have been doing it since prehistoric times. Archaeologists have found skulls with neat little circles carved out. And the wild part is that some of these patients actually survived long enough for the bone to heal over, which means either the doctor got lucky or the patient was just built different. Of course, most didn't get so lucky. Infection, blood loss, or being drilled in the head without anesthesia tended to ruin the recovery process. But in the Middle Ages, trepanning wasn't just for headaches. Doctors used it for epilepsy, insanity, even just bad moods. Basically, if you sneezed the wrong way, they thought you needed a hole in your head. Bloodletting. If you got sick in the Middle Ages, doctors had one solution for pretty much everything: drain you like a juice box. They believed your body was ruled by 4 magical liquids: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. If you felt off balance, the fix was simple: just lose some blood. Yeah, that's it. Got a cold? Bleed. Headache? Bleed. Feeling a little too alive? Bleed faster. But here's the problem. Most patients were already hanging by a thread. Losing pints of blood didn't heal them. It finished them. Some fainted, others went into shock, and plenty never got back up from the doctor's chair. Even worse, bloodletting wasn't just for illness. Doctors prescribed it for headaches, fevers, childbirth, and even the plague. Basically, if you could name it, they'd bleed you for it. It didn't matter if you were a peasant or a king. Everyone got the same treatment. In fact, some kings were bled so often that the cure probably killed them quicker than the disease ever could. Cannibal medicine. When it came to medieval medicine, nothing was too strange or too gross. For centuries, people believed that consuming parts of the human body could heal you. Dried blood, powdered skulls, even ground-up mummies stolen from Egyptian tombs were sold as remedies. Because nothing says healthy lifestyle like sprinkling a little corpse dust on your breakfast. It wasn't just common folk either. Royalty and nobles were in on it. King Charles II of England actually kept a jar of King's Drops, a tonic made with powdered human skull that he drank regularly. That's right, the man was basically sipping on death-flavored Gatorade. The logic was simple. If the body had life force, maybe eating it could give you strength. In reality, all it gave people was a mouthful of bacteria and a really weird dinner story: leech therapy. If cutting you open was too messy, medieval doctors had a slimy backup plan: leeches. They'd slap these little vampires on your skin and let them suck until you looked like a half-empty Capri Sun. Leeches were basically medieval interns. Cheap, tireless, and always hungry. Doctors used them for headaches, infections, and even obesity. Yeah, instead of dieting, you just fed your blood to worms. People actually collected and farmed leeches like they were medical equipment. Whole rivers were stripped clean just to keep up with demand. And the richer you were, the more leeches you got slapped on. Because apparently, in the Middle Ages, luxury healthcare meant paying extra to be drained alive. Astrology prescriptions. In the Middle Ages, your horoscope wasn't just a fun sidebar in a newspaper. It could literally decide your treatment. Doctors believed the stars and planets controlled your health, so if Mars was in the wrong position, you might get a weird concoction, a bloodletting, or a poultice to fix the cosmic imbalance. Some treatments were downright bizarre. They might prescribe a potion to be drunk at sunrise, or make you avoid certain foods just because the moon was in the wrong house. Got a fever? Blame Jupiter. Feeling sad? Mercury is angry. Basically, your ailments were celestial, and your doctor was part astronomer, part bartender. Of course, astrology-based medicine wasn't exactly effective. People often ended up sicker than when they started, but at least they could say,
"It's not my fault. The stars made me do it."
Thanks for watching till the end. Please hit subscribe if you liked the video.